Good morning, everybody, and thank you, Minister Lecce, for having me today as part of this important announcement. My name is Harshivan Baba. I'm Public Affairs Manager at Energy for a Secure Future, and I stand with Minister Lecce, Minister Oosterhoff, and Dr. Claudia Kriviak, CEO of the Center of Innovation. Our organization, Energy for a Secure Future, is a coalition which brings together Indigenous leaders, industry representatives, and community stakeholders united by a common goal, ensuring our energy systems are secure, affordable, and reliable for all Canadians, including Ontario. Additionally, I'm also the chair of Young Energy Professionals Network and work alongside passionate young Canadians who want to help secure energy for generations to come and shape Ontario's future. Young people are directly affected by high energy costs, both personally and professionally. The long-term affordability of energy systems impact young people's ability to plan our lives, build our careers, and contribute to our communities. This is why an integrated plan that leverages all energy resources, including natural gas, nuclear power, hydrogen, and emerging technologies, is vital. For too long, the energy narrative in Canada has been dominated by single-lens solutions, pitting electricity against other forms of energy. In many other jurisdictions, this has led to high energy costs and declining system reliability, as well as loss of industry and jobs, deterring hardworking young people who want more now than ever to contribute to the economy. We must make sure Ontario does not do the same, making energy expansion increasingly vital. Affordable and reliable energy creates economic opportunities and supports the growth of vibrant, sustainable communities. Ontario's industries, from agriculture to manufacturing, rely on affordable and reliable energy as a foundation for competitiveness and innovation in our province. By recognizing the long-term role of key energy resources, Ontario is sending an important signal that it recognizes that energy must deliver affordability, reliability, and for now and for generations to come. Young energy professionals like myself look forward to working with Minister Lecce and all Ontarians as the government delivers on its promise of energy affordability and resilience. A more prosperous Ontario for all depends on it. Thank you. I'd now like to welcome Minister Stephen Lecce to the podium.
That was Harshivan's first time live on camera, so good job. We appreciate you. You did a wonderful job. Thank you all for being here. This is a packed room, an incredible turnout. Let me just say, first of all, how honored I am to share the stage with my parliamentary colleagues. Sam Oosterhoff, this amazing man has been leading work to ensure fuels and affordability, and that rural lens is applied to everything we do in this ministry. I want to give a special shout out to Rudy Cazzetto, who is the man who was here before Sam and I and David and Chris got here, the institutional knowledge who's been leading a lot of the way, especially as we look to our energy build-out. I want to give thanks to David Smith, an incredible leader, former someone with experience in the energy sector, in education, in defense, and someone who's been a great parliamentarian for the people of Scarborough. I want to thank Lisa Thompson, a strong voice for rural Ontario, a proud community leader, and someone who hails from Bruce County, home of Bruce Power, and there could be no greater champion than this amazing person. I want to thank Stéphane Sarrazin, who of course hails from the National Capital Region. Again, another leader focused on affordability, given energy rates rose so much under the former government. Chris Scott, newly elected Sault Ste. Marie. This man is on a roll, just having been in Northern Ontario, making the case for moving with speed when it comes to critical minerals and energy. Very grateful for your leadership. And our newest member, elected from Eglinton Lawrence, Michelle, has been a force, someone who we all know. I want to give a shout out to Michelle Cooper, who's been a very principled leader in Toronto and a strong supporter of energy build out for the people of Ontario. We are here to mark a turning point in our province. We're unveiling an ambitious plan, national in scope and global in impact. A plan for our province and our country to do the big things, for our economy and for every person who depends on affordable and reliable energy. Because energy isn't just a service, it is a foundation for jobs, for Canada's growth, and for an affordable energy future. But that foundation is at risk if we allow the status quo to prevail. Ontario is growing, it's growing fast. We're building homes, we're expanding transit, we are attracting global investment here to the province. We're electrifying transportation, manufacturing, and industry. And that growth is a good thing. It's a sign of confidence in our future. But it also means one thing is certain. We need more energy. But for too long, energy planning in this province has been fragmented. One plan for electricity and another for fuels. Little coordination and no long-term vision. Some have called this a piecemeal, an ad hoc approach. And today, all Ontarians, all Canadians are calling for a long-term plan that sets us up for success. Because the challenge we're facing is bigger. It's about preparing for the future. It's about building a system that can meet demand wherever it takes. Over the next 25 years, electricity demand in Ontario is expected to increase by 75%. And that's like, as we say often, adding 4.5 cities of Toronto to the grid. And even as electrification accelerates, we continue to depend on other energy sources. Natural gas for heating our homes, gasoline and diesel to get people to work and goods to market, and emerging fuels like hydrogen for heavy industry and clean innovation. And if we don't act now, we risk delays and shortages and higher costs and lost opportunities for Canadian business. And the simple truth is Ontario cannot be left behind. We cannot afford to fall behind. And now when global instability and U.S. protectionism threatens Canadian supply chains, not when our countries are racing to attract the same jobs and investment that we're fighting for. This is a moment that demands vision and ambition and strong leadership. Now is the time to do the big things. And we're thinking big, we're thinking long-term, through a generational lens, as we unveil Ontario's first ever integrated energy plan, Energy for Generations. Ontario's integrated energy plan is designed to keep energy affordable, to leverage every resource, electricity and fuels and hydrogen and emerging tech. It's a plan that is anchored in 4 clear principles, ensuring energy is always affordable and secure, reliable and clean. And that means keeping costs low for families and for businesses and for industry. It means securing our supply with the infrastructure and domestic capabilities that we need to stay self-reliant. It means building a system that works 24/7 in every season and every part of our province. And delivering a cleaner and a greener grid for future generations that continues to attract investment while we reduce emissions here at home. These are the foundations of Ontario's energy advantage. And Energy for Generations, it's all in the name. It lays out the concrete steps that turn those principles into action for our kids and for our grandkids. Ontario's integrated energy plan is centered on ambition as we lead the largest expansion of nuclear energy on the continent, the largest investment in energy efficiency in Canadian history. We're building the largest energy storage fleet in the country, and that's just the start. This plan extends the life of 26 hydro stations across Ontario's north. This plan advances one of the largest transmission expansions in Canadian history. 6 new or upgraded lines. That's hundreds of kilometers of new infrastructure to connect homes and businesses to the grid. And it massively expands net new nuclear and hydroelectric power with a plan for electricity generation that will cement our position as a global leader with a grid that will become, under this plan, more than 99% emission-free by 2050 without raising your taxes. We're also protecting access to affordable fuels like natural gas, still chosen by millions of Ontarians for heating and agriculture and industry. We're putting people in the driver's seat to generate clean power for their own purposes. This is important, something I've been talking about for over a year. We are getting government out of the way. We are incentivizing people and municipalities and businesses and farms to harness renewable power and storage for their own purposes. The ultimate win-win. They save money, and we reduce demand on the grid. We're also planning faster and smarter, synergizing electricity and fuels and new technologies into one integrated system. We're growing Ontario's place as a global energy superpower because we're exporting electricity and nuclear expertise and medical isotopes to the world. And we will do the work and lead a national conversation to get to yes on a new east-west energy corridor, to end the landlocking of Ontario and Canadian resources, and finally build one strong Canadian economy. Yes, to take on President Trump, but to take on the world. And we know that to do these big things, we need to do so in partnership with Indigenous communities. And in the Ministry of Energy and Mines, we are leading by example. The overwhelming majority of Ontario's energy storage projects have been built with Indigenous equity participation. Every new transmission line includes an opportunity for Indigenous equity ownership, and these aren't just one-off models. This is what we do, and the Integrated Energy Plan will go further. We're actually going to increase support so First Nations can build long-term capacity, establish equity partnership in energy projects, and develop reliable, affordable energy solutions for their own communities. Because a secure energy future must be a shared one. In a world where nothing feels certain, that matters more than ever. Trade relationships and military alliances are being upended in this new world order. Geopolitical adversaries are posing new threats to our workers, to our economy, to our sovereignty. And our response to global chaos is certainty. Our response to parties and governments pushing short-term incremental change is transformation and ambition. Our response to those detractors that claim we must choose between economic growth and the environment is to choose all of the above. This is Ontario's plan to be strong and self-reliant and economically sovereign. It is a plan to nation build, a plan not just for today but for tomorrow, a plan for our kids and for our grandkids, 25 years in horizon. For young leaders like Harshavem, who spoke so brilliantly earlier, it is for him, it is for you. And this is the ultimate contrast to the former government that put ideology over affordability, that lacked the ambition for meaningful reform that benefited everyday families, that paid 10 times above the market rate for power, and planned even for the closure of the Pickering nuclear generating station, which have reduced our clean energy supply and put thousands of people out of work. We were never going to go back to that model. We choose an affordable, secure, reliable, clean energy future, building for our kids and grandkids. And part of this vision requires a team. And I've had an amazing team, amazing people working with me who have been leading. And I introduced all my colleagues earlier. But many of them, my parliamentary colleagues who will speak in a second, have been doing the work, leading that work of consultation. And I want to thank all of our partners from industry, Indigenous communities, municipalities, energy organizations, to help us lay out our plan, our blueprint for the future, and our commitment to power our growing province together. And so with that, I thank you all for being here, for being a part of this process, for being a part of this vision, a vision for nation building. And I want to introduce a man who's played a critical role in helping to shape this plan, and that's the Associate Minister, Sam Oosterhoff. Thank you all so very much.
Well, thank you very much, Minister Lecce. Good morning, everyone. It is such a privilege to be here, and I'm so thankful to be joined by so many leaders in Ontario's energy system, so many familiar faces who are here in this room, and I have to acknowledge and thank the fellow parliamentarians, the caucus colleagues who have really led the charge in ensuring that today's plan is focused on the people of this province. But none of this would have happened without the leadership of Minister Lecce. He's someone I have seen spend literally hundreds of hours reaching out to people from across the province to get their ideas, their insights, their expertise. The Premier often says, we need to make sure we get out of the ivory towers of downtown Toronto and make sure we listen to the people of this province. This is the minister who has done that, and as a result has brought forward today's integrated energy plan, a historic energy plan for the province of Ontario. We've been working hard for months to create an energy system, for years to create an energy system that is affordable, reliable, secure, and clean, and one that provides long-term safeguards for jobs and industries across this great province. And we've seen incredible results from that work. $70 billion in new investments in key sectors like the automotive, advanced manufacturing, and life sciences industries. These investments have helped create more than 1 million new, good-paying jobs since 2018. But today we're taking another major step forward. We're releasing a plan to build a more competitive, resilient, and self-reliant energy infrastructure system that will lay the foundation of our energy future for generations. By removing barriers and cutting costs for industry, we will also be building out our energy infrastructure faster and more strategically. It means more investments for our industries and more jobs for the people of Ontario. In a world that's rapidly transitioning with more clean, sustainable energy systems, we are also making it easier and more affordable for industries to adapt and grow, to ensure that Ontario can protect its energy-intensive industries and all jobs, to mitigate the impact of unpredictable foreign trade disruptions. Our plan will help so many of Ontario's industries, particularly places like manufacturing, mining, steel production, and agriculture, which are the backbone of our economy. They contribute significantly to our GDP and provide tens of thousands of high-quality jobs that hard-working families from across this province are benefiting from. Now, as Minister Lecce pointed out, what's really unique about the Energy for Generations plan is its wide-ranging scope. For the first time ever, we're taking a coordinated approach to energy planning. We're saying no to the outdated, siloed energy strategy, or lack thereof, that has held our province back for far too long. In the Energy for Generations plan, we recognize that the essential role of all of our diverse energy sources includes electricity. It includes natural gas. It includes hydrogen and other fuels in maintaining stable and competitive energy prices. It acknowledges an all-of-the-above approach the importance of fuels like natural gas not only to Ontario's industries, but also to farmers and residents in rural communities. It also creates space for new and emerging innovation, resources like biofuels, renewable natural gas, distributed energy resources, and low-carbon hydrogen to be produced and adopted with world-class talent right here in Ontario. With each new resource that is expanded and integrated into our energy grid, we're not only producing more jobs, but we're also building out our energy security and our reliability. This plan will also allow industries to optimize energy use, manage costs, and reduce exposure to price volatility. It's especially important for critical sectors that operate around the clock and rely on stable, affordable power. The goal of this initiative is to create an environment of stability in which tens of thousands of new, high-paying jobs in the skilled trades, in manufacturing, in engineering sectors, and beyond can be created. Our government will continue to stand side by side, as Premier Ford always has, with Ontario's cutting-edge industries and workers to build on the foundation laid by generations of the past for the prosperity of the generations of the future. With an integrated energy plan that delivers affordability, security, and reliability, Ontario is unleashing its potential to become a global clean energy superpower. I couldn't be more excited, and now I get to welcome to the podium Dr. Claudia Kreviak, the President and Chief Executive Officer of the Ontario Centre of Innovation. Welcome.
Thank you, Minister Oosterhoff, and good morning, everyone. I want to congratulate Minister Lecce and his team and the Government of Ontario on today's launch of Energy for Generations. Today marks a bold and forward-looking step for Ontario. This integrated energy plan not only secures our province's energy future, but it also lays the critical foundation for long-term economic growth, innovation, global competitiveness, and is a powerful economic signal that Ontario is ready to lead in the global energy transition. At the Ontario Centre of Innovation, we work every day to help companies commercialize next-generation technologies, from energy storage and nuclear innovation to clean tech, hydrogen systems, and advanced materials. What today's announcement delivers is exactly what innovators and investors have been asking for: a clear, integrated roadmap that supports long-term decision-making and investment confidence. By aligning electricity, fuels, and emerging technologies under one plan, Ontario is sending a strong message to global markets. This is a place where innovation is not only possible, it's scalable. This plan positions Ontario as a global destination for investment in clean, reliable, and future-ready energy solutions. As we look to 2050, this isn't just an energy plan, it's an innovation blueprint. It empowers Ontario companies to lead in the design, deployment, and export of energy solutions that the world needs. Thank you all, and have a wonderful day. And now I'd like to invite Minister Lecce back to the podium.
Okay.
We will now open up the floor to questions from the media. Please come up to the mic and state your name and outlet. As a reminder, it's one question, one follow-up. We'll start with our first reporter.
Good morning, Minister Lecce. Mark McAllister from City News.
Good morning, Mark.
Really quickly, obviously, this is an extensive plan.
Yeah.
When it comes to distribution and the energy providers, and I'm sure there's quite a few people to my left that are willing to answer this question, but for these future generations, how do you guarantee the cost of electricity stays down?
This is the crux of an integrated energy plan that has a 25-year horizon. The overarching priority for the Premier and this government is keeping costs down for everyday families. We live in a new world where capital is going to flow to the path of least resistance. We are in a fierce competition with the US and sometimes even with provinces east and west. Affordability is going to drive investment and prosperity for Canada. So we're doing a variety of approaches that ensure affordable energy for these kids behind us. The first is we're going to use competitive procurements. Unlike governments of the past that did sole sourcing, we believe in competition that has drawn down prices by 30% to date. The second is we're planning ahead. Unlike the jurisdictions literally all around us, east, west, and south, that are scrambling for power, prepared to pay massive quantums of market rate because they just don't have the energy needed for their current economic demands, let alone future. We're looking at the next 25 years. We have built a forecast that is ambitious, and we're working backwards to secure energy future. That's why we're starting today on refurbishments of our entire nuclear fleet. It's why we launched the largest competitive energy procurement in the history of Canada, 7,500 megawatts of power. It's why we're announcing today, part of this plan, a new hydroelectric program for over 10 megawatts of power in Northern Ontario. 26 stations could be recontracted on the basis 1,000 megawatts of power could be resecured on the grid. So my point to you is the virtue here is we're being proactive. We are thinking about the future. We're planning with a lens on our kids, an intergenerational lens on economic planning. And it's refreshing, frankly, what I hear from the stakeholders and the voices around us is that we're actually not thinking about short-term electoral cycles. We're building 25-year horizons for energy, and we're forcing the integration, the synergization of all of our energy needs for the benefit of Canada. And I think the final thing we're doing to keep it affordable and keep Canada strong is we're looking within our country. We're really looking east-west more than north-south, and this is a pivot for the government. We really see a future where we can build one strong Canadian economy, buying more Canadian products and supporting Canadian jobs. All of this together provides an affordable energy future. To date, as I mentioned, our energy build-outs are being done on time and on budget. So we're respecting the taxpayer and we're thinking ahead.
Follow up to that, obviously we're talking about the future and infrastructure for the future.
Right.
This summer is expected to be a hot summer. How can we expect, or are there any guarantees that there won't be blackouts or brownouts?
You know, the Ontario Independent Electricity Systems Operator is absolutely confident that Ontario has all the power we need, so much so that we're still an exporter of power on an annualized basis. We have a reliable grid. We have a clean grid. And part of today's plan is to help guarantee reliability for our industry and also for people. I mean, a blackout, as we saw with the ice storms, I mean, that has an impact on people's quality of life. We want to get power back up and restored. Part of this plan is a lens on how do we increase service standards for utilities to get those connections done quicker. Part of this plan is designed to improve reliability by maintaining an all-the-above approach. And it's why we think maintaining natural gas on the grid is fundamental as an insurance policy that keeps the lights on if, God forbid, yes, we have an extremely hot day and that peak demand is very high. So we're leveraging more storage of clean power, 3,000 megawatts, the largest in Canada, the third largest on the continent. All this together speaks to the ambition, but it also speaks to the commitment we need to make to people today and in the future. Power will be reliable, it's going to be clean, and it's going to be affordable. And this plan, which is an amazing achievement that should not be footnoted, this plan, while it drives prices down and keeps affordability at the forefront, it will get us to 99+% non-emitting power in the electricity grid by year 2050. That is a huge achievement. And I say this because, look, we all care about, we want to make sure for future generations that, we leave the environment better off than we inherited it. And I love that we can grow the economy. We can create jobs. We can compete with Trump and the rest of the world while maintaining an even cleaner, greener grid. And that's a great legacy, I think, for our kids.
Hey, Minister Barbara with QP Briefing.
Hi, Barbara.
Hey, I just want to add, I'm actually curious about the part of the plan that talks about Fortress MCAM.
Yes.
And increasing the exports to this interprovincially, but also to the states. Mm-hmm. In this moment that we are having, the threats of the Trump's tariffs and everything, Premier Ford also threatened to perhaps even cut energy exports to the States. So is this out of the table now? I understand it's a long-term plan, but how is this dynamic going?
Look, we are prioritizing Canada first. That's the key takeaway of this plan. We're looking inward, east-west as our first priority, but we're not losing sight. If there's one thing that unites Canadians, even across the political spectrum, is let's make a lot of money off the Americans. I mean, this is one thing I think that brings us together. Why wouldn't we do that, Barbara? I mean, they need power. The state of New York and Michigan and Ohio, they're all looking for power. Many of them are still burning coal. So yeah, we want to monetize our assets as we look to our energy and nuclear build-out, dedicating units, a unit or more, for exports, so long as we get long-term contracts in place. Before we do that, though, Barbara, we need to reimagine our purchase agreements with American states and energy planners. We sell at a discount on the spot market, and that's the way it has been for a long time. Part of this plan is really to reimagine those agreements so that we could really do what sort of like Quebec Hydro does, monetize 20-year contracts, longer term, higher yield, better return, and they make money. They make profit off, in that case, the state of New York. So there's a model we want to emulate. But to the question, we're looking to put Canada first. So what does that mean? This plan will lead the nation. We are leading a national discussion on an east-west transmission corridor. That's important because clean energy from Ontario could displace, dirtier forms of energy in other parts of Canada. It also allows us to sell at market rates, still create that value, but really benefit the Canada and the Canadian workers. And I think Ontario has always played an important part of our federation in our federalism of being a uniter. And our Premier, I think, has been very effective in bringing people together and standing with the West in their time of need, which is why we support an east-west pipeline, right, of moving Western crude to Eastern markets so that we can get our resources to Tidewater, which is an imperative, a national interest imperative for Canada, that we finally achieve these nation-building visions for energy security. So, yeah, we're going to put Canada first, Canadian workers first. We're going to buy more Canadian intentionally. But we're also going to look to make a ton of cash off our American friends because they need the power and they have got a prospective customer in us too.
Thank you. The other thing, this plan has a lot of infrastructure to be built for sure. Right now we have a shortage in the construction sector.
Right.
We're facing this challenge. So how do you see things moving forward with the risk of not having enough workers to actually get things done?
Yeah. Look, it's a really critical question. Human capital is even perhaps more challenging than the fiscal capital. We've got the money, but we need the people to deliver the work. I just want to say, let me pay tribute to the workforce in Ontario's energy sector. I mean, these are among some of the best workers in the world. They are doing something that is special, from hydro to nuclear. We look at our refurbishments, our net new builds. They're doing them on time and on budget. There is no jurisdiction, certainly in the industrialized world, where someone could claim that truth. With great reverence to my Five Eye partners, NATO partners in the UK or France or the US, they can't make that claim. But here we are, leading by example, building on time, building ahead of schedule. Unit 1 in Darlington was put back on the grid 180 days ahead of schedule. Right? This is a beautiful juxtaposition to projects in Georgia or England that are like 15 years over schedule. So we're going to keep investing with the goal of keeping energy affordable, keep planning for the future, and obviously continue to support Canadian tech.
Hi, Minister. Fatima Syed with the Narwhal.
Hi.
If I'm understanding the numbers correctly, the IESO has calculated that we could phase out natural gas by 2040. This plan says that we'd phase it out by 2050. Can you tell me a little bit about the discrepancy and how you're getting to that number?
Well, this plan is actually about maintaining all the above options for the benefit of industry and business. Our policy is to allow customers to choose based on low cost. And that's the fundamental difference of our government and governments of the past. First of all, we're not phasing out natural gas. We believe in maintaining system reliability. The consequence of that public policy recommendation, I suppose supported by maybe Liberals and Democrats, the IESO studied this. If we phase it out as the feds were considering last fall, it would lead to reliability issues, blackouts, and higher energy bills. We're not going to do that. No rational government in this economy is going to say, yes, we're going to sign up for higher energy bills. That's offensive, I think, to ratepayers who went through this when Liberals increased hydro by 400%. We are not going back to that system. Unlike them, we're thinking ahead, we're planning for the future, and we're keeping affordability at the forefront of our decision. Natural gas is foundational to agricultural production and industry. There is no alternative. Now, we're leveraging hydrogen and clean tech, and we're really leaning into that. We see that as a future energy source, could represent north of 5% of total electricity. We're doing all the above, but let's not lose sight of the vital necessity for Ontarians to have access to that energy source. Like 3 to 4 Ontarians heat their homes today with natural gas. So when I saw legislation being proposed by the Liberals in the last parliamentary session calling for its phase out, I mean, one could only call that radical. That would have led to system issues of reliability and higher rates. So we believe in all the above. We believe in optionality. We believe in respecting customer choice. And let's not forget the key point, an important point, I think, for you and for others. We're going to maintain those choices and be technologically agnostic while getting to 99+% non-emitting.
So that was going to be my follow-up question.
Please.
The grid has become dirtier already since your government took office, I believe from 97 to 86. Don't quote me on that, but it's around there. If we're going to increase natural gas, I imagine the emissions from the grid are going to increase. How can you guarantee that we're going to get there if you're not? I know you're saying we're technologically agnostic, but I don't see much in this plan about solar and wind and other renewable projects as well. So can you talk to me about how you will guarantee that we will get to near 100% by 2050?
It's first of all, the ISO, the Ontario Independent Electricity Systems Operator, they've done forecasting, built predicated on the expansion of non-emitting nuclear energy and hydro. That will get us down to 99+% non-emitting by 2050. That is the Independent Electricity System Operator's projections based on the commitment of government to build, maintain Pickering, refurbish Darlington, add 4 SMRs, Bruce C, a variety of expansions, Wesleyville, 10,000 megawatts of power there that OPG is leading the way on. So nuclear power, non-emitting nuclear, actually helps to dwarf any other energy source because we're increasing the amount of megawatts so significantly. So we get down to 99+% non-emitting energy, a huge achievement for Ontario without raising taxes, without imposing mandates. And I think this is the difference philosophically of governments. I mean, the Premier sort of has taken a position. It's got to be affordable, it's got to be reliable, it's got to be clean. We've delivered that. And so we're confident that the policy we brought forth finds that balance. But I'll just speak about renewables because you mentioned them. There's a dedicated chapter and a section specifically on the launch of what will be the first new dedicated northern hydro stream for projects over 10 megawatts of power. Hydro is incredibly affordable and, of course, a renewable energy source that is baseload, unlike wind or solar. But we see the value of wind and solar, too, in the context of that we now have battery storage, which governments of the past didn't have. So we can now harness those resources for good and use them during peak purposes to reduce bills. So we're leading the largest expansion of storage, as you know, 3,000 megawatts. That's good. We've launched the largest public procurement in Canadian history. And while the ISO will decide on who gets those procurements, based on price, we think renewables will do well. And so we've really taken a position of agnosticism. Let the market dictate. Like, I want to keep energy rates down for my family, for my grandparents, for everyday people. And that's got to be the fixation of government. And that's what we're doing. So yes, nuclear power is affordable, reliable, it's clean, we're building it out, we're going to deliver a clean energy future, and we're proud of doing that without, for example, raising taxes or imposing carbon taxes or doing any of these policies that I think hurts everyday people. Thank you.
That concludes our press conference. Thank you everyone for coming.
Okay, thank you all.